Okay, so what we want to talk about in today's session, the first thing that we're going to talk about is the difference between what we call physical recovery and emotional recovery. And I know that you all remember from the time in the hospital that you probably spent a lot of time going over your physical recovery. The doctors and nurses helped you get back to being able to do the things that you could do before the accident. Some people that means walking, for some people that means talking, but there's always, following an injury, there's usually some pretty significant physical recovery that has to go on. There's another component of recovery, which is emotional recovery, and that's something that sometimes people don't spend as much time talking about or learning about. So I want to spend a little time today talking about what the difference between physical and emotional recovery is, and talk about how you all think that you're doing as far as the emotional recovery part. So can you tell me, both of you, what you think physical recovery means? What would that mean to you?
I could barely walk when I was in the hospital, at least when things were kind of clear and I knew where I was. Remember I tried to get up to use the bathroom and almost fell over. And, in 2 weeks that wasn't a problem, and I didn't need the nurses to do things for me. Sometimes they would just because they felt like they had to, but I couldn't do it.
Right.
And I don't need help around the house.
Okay.
There's no risk, me being alone, so physically I feel fine.
So it sounds like for you, physical recovery has a lot to do with being able to do things for yourself again. Would you say that that's true?
For sure. I've always been able to.
Okay. Tori, when I say physical recovery, what comes to mind? What does that mean for you?
Pretty much what he said, just like getting things to work right again, like broken bones healing, that type of thing.
Okay. Yeah, you really hit on it. What the definition we often use is that physical recovery means getting your body to work correctly again, or to work right again the way it used to before the accident. However, when you think of physical recovery, that has to do with the body, whereas emotional recovery has to do with the feelings and the thoughts that you're having. Even though family members haven't had a physical injury, most family members also have to go through emotional recovery as well, along with the survivor. So, even though both people are going through this process of emotional recovery, because it's something that's not often talked about, sometimes it's difficult for families to realize how much they share the experience of trying to emotionally recover. Emotionally, can you tell me how you each think you might have been affected by the injury?
Well, I think, I just feel really sad all the time. And I guess that's what you mean by emotional recovery. I'm just kind of down and just kind of like not really thinking about the future like I used to, and just kind of seems like so much more dependent on his recovery.
Okay. So for you, the emotion that's come up really frequently is just a feeling of general sadness.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Michael?
At least she can go to work and drive her car and do the things that she's always done. And things are normal for her. I sleep in now. I don't get up till almost 10. And somehow sleep almost like 12 hours. I never used to do that. I'm just tired all the time. And it's also depressing. So I guess I don't feel like she has much of a reason to be sad as I do, because I'm the one that got hurt. I can't work now. I'm losing my mind every day.
It's just like he's blaming me for the lack of recovery, or like I should feel bad about myself for not having the injury, and it just makes me feel worse.
Okay.
I'm not blaming her. I don't know. It happened to me, and she's the one that, I'm the one that should be moping around the house, and she is feeling the same way.
Well, one of the things that we think is really important in this program is to help everybody to understand the process that the other people in the family are going through. And so it's very different for each of you because you're individuals, and Michael, you're the one who had the injury. Tori, you're the one who is helping Michael to recover from the injury. So these are different experiences. But one thing that we do know is true is that everybody tends to have emotional responses or emotional reaction to a life-changing event such as a traumatic brain injury. And so it's important that we begin to talk about how for each of you can work individually and together towards this idea of emotional recovery. What do you think that emotional recovery would look like? What would that mean for your family and for you as individuals if you were able to say, I'm emotionally recovered? What would that mean?
Not being mad at each other all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a car pull up and I'm just tense because if she's had a bad day, then she's not going to want to put up with me,
mm-hmm.
And I would love to just hear her come through the door and not worry about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe if I were hopeful again, mm-hmm. I just feel like I don't really have much to look forward to right now. It would be really nice if I could come home and be like, hey, you want to go to the park this weekend and just have a picnic since the weather's getting so nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really not something that is going to happen right now.
Okay. One of the things that both of you are describing is actually a good example of the definition we often use for emotional recovery, which is being happy with yourself and your life again. And certainly the emotional recovery process takes time, is something that you're describing to me right now, and I'm sure that you've begun to notice that it takes a long time to begin to work through a lot of these feelings. One of the things that I think many people are frustrated with is the fact that physical recovery often goes much quicker than the emotional recovery. And so, Tori, earlier you were describing how in the hospital Michael moved so quickly through the physical recovery part that you were very enthusiastic about his
mm-hmm.
recovery and how quickly life might return to normal. But then what the two of you are explaining to me right now is that emotionally life doesn't seem to be returning to normal. And again, this is a normal process, but it's important that we begin to understand how you would feel good about yourself and your life again so you can begin that journey and process towards a full emotional recovery. How would you say that your experiences with